Yes, great name. Great name. Where's Carrie Swift, right? Great name. All right, we're going to be talking today. We're going to be doing controlling the chaos, effective meeting planning, preparing, and teaching. I know that we have club leaders with all types of experience in here. Some of you, this is your first year. Some of you, this is your 5th, 10th, 20th year. So I'm hoping that everybody can find, some tips from this, regardless of what year, how long you've been with us. All right, we're going to talk about effective meeting planning and preparing first. So we want to begin with the end in mind as my first tip for you guys. This is a really great advice from Stephen Covey, who wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So planning meeting calendars, they can be a challenge, probably for everybody at some point in time. You might feel like burned out, or you might wonder how do you even start planning your calendar. Do you settle on dates first? Do you ask raisers for ideas first? Do you have special places that you like to go every year, and maybe that's like Disney transportation for Central Florida people, right? You probably don't want to go there during Christmas, for example, so you have to make sure you plan around that. Do you sometimes just generally feel stuck in a rut with planning meetings? And so getting with the end in mind, it is easier to get where you're going if you know where you are going. So if you know what your end goal is, it's a lot easier to get there. So with this, we want to first secure your dates. Establishing a regular meeting schedule, this helps your raisers plan a little bit better. I know that there are times where you might have to change up. Oh, we're not going to meet on the second Saturday because we have an event on the night before on a Friday night or something like that. That's fine, but generally having a regular meeting schedule helps also provide that consistency, just like we would for our puppies, consistency for our raisers. Thinking about your objectives. So what do you want your raisers, what do you want them to review with them, and then where can this be accomplished? So if you want to talk about how to sit at a dining room table or at a restaurant table with your puppy, you probably shouldn't have your meeting at a pet store, for example. Okay? And then before you decide on a location, consider those objectives, again, for that reason. So some things to consider, again, goal of your meeting. Sorry, hold it up.
No, hold your hand, yeah. Your hand up.
Sorry, try not to hit my little receiver, guys. Goal of your meeting, your location, safety. So I always use, a lot of people like to use Spirit Halloween during Halloween. In Lakeland, we had 2 choices a couple years ago, and I was asking them to meet me at one, and I went to one of them and realized that the parking lot was jam-packed all the time. So that one's not probably the safest one versus the other one. It was a really big store, and it was pretty much the only store in the area, so it was a really empty parking lot, so you could kind of start outside in the parking lot, versus the other one just didn't have a lot of space, and we had to worry about that safety as well with all the cars. Making sure there's restrooms, and if you do meet somewhere where there's not a restroom, making sure you tell your raisers ahead of time, guys, there probably won't be restrooms here, so you might want to stop at the 7-Eleven down the street before you have your meeting. Having an alternate inclement weather plan. So this, you might want to even have an alternate plan just kind of always in your back pocket, like, okay, if we have bad weather, we're just going to go to this mall, this indoor mall or something. You may not need to tell them that, but just always having that ready to go. Age of your puppies and appropriateness of exposure. So if you have a bunch of puppies right now that are all in the same kind of regular class, maybe half of them are under 6 months and the other half are over. And if you, for example, a great example is one of my club leaders, when they do the Disney transportation meeting, they say anybody under 6 months or 8 months does not go this time, they'll go when we do it again. And those dogs either stay home, they either meet with somebody else, like an assistant club leader, or somebody like that, or they have maybe another meeting at some point that week. So don't feel afraid to split that, maybe even do 45 minutes for one group, 45 minutes for another, so it's just kind of shorter meeting, but more concentrated to their age. And then also making sure that you check for any fees. Sorry, I keep bringing up Disney transportation, it's the easiest one to do. Fees with Disney, if you park in certain places, you're going to be paying $25 to $30 to park. Like if you park in one of the actual like Magic Kingdom parking lot, versus if you meet at Disney Springs, it's free to park there. So just making sure that you are watching for those fees, trying to avoid them because everybody's volunteers. And if you do have the fees, that you are talking to your group ahead of time. Is there anybody who needs some help with the fees, who in a carpool, that sort of thing. All right, so we're going to do a quick little exercise just at your table. I want you with your group to think of an objective first. So this could be maybe house manners or impulse control or whatever it is. And then I want you to think of just one objective that you want to plan your meeting around, and then just discuss a few places where you could hold the meeting to accomplish this. So just take a couple minutes amongst your group to think of a good topic, and then some places where you can hold that. And okay, either way, I was going to just do a couple, so I can repeat it though too. We're going to do house manners, and her suggested areas were going to be like home stores that have furniture, so like IKEA or Ashley Furniture, something like that that has furniture around. All right, anybody else want to share one more? Yep, what's your objective? Settling in a restaurant.
Just if we go to an area like a church where you can sit and eat at a table, everybody can bring their own food so that it's not as expensive.
Okay, so
less intimidating area.
yes. Okay, so she said going to somewhere like a church hall or something like that, where everybody could sort of bring a snack or bring food, and it would be a little bit less intimidating than actually eating in a full-out restaurant where you have the staff that are going to be watching everybody. So that was the other suggestion. All right. Okay, so I'm sure there's lots of other great ideas, and we can always share them. You can always share them on our Club Leader Facebook page, of course. All right, agenda is your roadmap to success. So now that you have your goals and your kind of in mind and that sort of thing, we're going to talk about meeting content. This does not have to be this exact order, but these are the sort of things you're probably going to want in your meetings: an attendance or sign-in and a welcome. Agenda review, so maybe giving everybody a quick little rundown about what we're going to be doing for our meeting, maybe reviewing cues or skills, and then an exposure or like an overall bigger, activity. So, and then a Q&A and announcements. So a sample agenda, again, some of this is a little bit out of order. You might, and this is actually pulled from the old area coordinator book that we used to have. Sign in and welcome. So you want to make sure that anybody who's new, like applicants or sitters who don't come often, you make sure you go around and introduce everybody. 5 to 10 minute cues drill. This could be relaxation protocol or any other sort of cues drill that you want, just to get your puppies into working and thinking modes. A lot of times the puppies come into the meetings all revved because they're seeing all their friends. So doing a few minutes now of the cues drill would be great. The introductions here, this could include something about maybe your puppies that week. So people have different names for it, like wags and whines, or brags and wags, or whatever it is. People have all different little names about something maybe they worked on that was great, or maybe something that they're having trouble with. Announcements, highlights from the newsletters. If a lot of you guys have newsletters that you send out to the group, you don't have to go through everything in the newsletter. We're all adults, we can all read on an email, but maybe just highlights there. Recognize pups going maybe IFT, class matches, updates from Dogs Inc., maybe anything that was included in a club leader update that was meant for you to share with your raisers. And then skills and training, explain demo practice. We're going to talk about this in just a minute, but linking back to the exposure or purpose. And then our exposure, which would be like your objective, your main objective, describe the purpose of the meeting location. So maybe it's like skills and training. We're out in the parking lot of a Lowe's and we're going to practice people greetings, because when we go into Lowe's, you're going to do a scavenger hunt, and part of the scavenger hunt is finding 3 people to do people greetings with. And so skills and training, that would be where I explain all that. We work on people greetings just amongst ourselves, and then the exposure is going in to do the scavenger hunt. And then, having everybody get back together, doing any reminders or questions, and your wrap up. And it makes it sound just so simple, right? That list right there. All right, so meeting ideas. Amr just talked about how we are going to be working on offering certain topics per month and working on those topics in our own monthly virtual meetings. So that would be a great topic to use. So if I do a presentation on house manners for my virtual meeting, and then Allie goes and says, the next meeting we have, we're going to meet at IKEA, and we're going to work on house manners around furniture and cabinets and that sort of thing. Don't be afraid to repeat exposures or topics. Remember, repetition builds confidence in our puppies, and it also builds confidence in raisers. They get that, they think it's really great when they do an exercise once at a certain location, and then maybe a few months later, you repeat the same thing, and they're able to say, oh my gosh, look how much my puppy has advanced in that amount of time. And then take note of questions or issues that come up, and use those to build out a lesson plan. A great one is when you get the follow-up emails about walk and talks from your advisor to your raisers, you might say, oh, it seems like everybody's having issues with body handling right now, so maybe I will use that in my meeting to make that as an objective. All right, meeting tips. So we're going to make our objectives clear. We talked about that. Sticking to our schedule, keeping everyone on task, starting on time, ending on time. That's really important. If you do that, then your raisers are going to say, oh, yeah, she starts on time every single time, So, but we also end on time. We're respecting the time that they arrive. You're respecting the people who do get there on time, and making sure that you're utilizing everybody's time properly and not asking them to stay longer than needed just because one person was late or you delayed for some reason. And then giving some sort of follow-up is always great. I always say people hear maybe 50% of what you're really relaying at meetings when they have a dog in their hands. They're so distracted by their own dog and what they're doing. They don't hear everything all the time, and people come away with different takeaways. So making sure that you maybe give a quick little follow-up email that just reminds everybody what you guys worked on. All right, so we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about effective teaching styles. So it's not just what you teach, it's how you teach. I always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? So we're going to talk about some different models that you might want to utilize when you are teaching. First one is explain, demo, do. You want to take a quick moment to explain. Again, like I said, people have their dogs in their hands, so asking them to sit there and listen to like a super long explanation for something, the dogs are going to start getting restless, they're going to get distracted, they're not going to hear everything you're saying. So try to make it as best you can to explain it pretty short. Do a short demo with one of the puppies in the club if that's appropriate for whatever you're doing. You can even do a fake dog if you need to. If you have a dog that's like not cooperating or something, but it's also great, right? Everybody loves it when they see the club leader take their dog or an advisor take their dog to work their dog too. And then you're going to ask everyone to practice and do the skill or exercise. Like I said before, raisers are only taking about 50% of what's being said. So again, no long explanation needed. Now we're going to have the gradual release model. So this is where teachers strategically transfer the responsibility in the learning process from the teacher to the student. So you see this little kind of teacher responsibility to student responsibility. And so it typically has 4 phases. So I do it, which is where the teacher models the lesson. Then the we do, which is where you're going to guide the instruction with both input from the teacher and the students. And then you do together collaborative learning in small groups of partners. This could be, we're going to all do it together at the same time. And then you do alone. So this is independent practice, and maybe you're going to take this on the road now and take it back to your house to practice. In order for this model of instruction to be the most effective, all 4 stages probably need to be present though. And then we're going to talk about scaffolding. So scaffolding is that, the stuff on the side of the building when they're working on a building. And so they're going to remove those metal pipes and platforms as they gradually finish the job. So scaffolding is the same sort of thing in terms of you're going to make sure your raiser has sufficient support to promote their learning, and then it can be used, and then you're like kind of gradually remove that support as the person starts to learn. You can use it in various contexts, so modeling a task or giving advice, providing coaching, and then so as your supports are removed, the student develops independent learning. And then we have prompt fading model. I think this one actually works really well with, exceptionally well with puppy raising, honestly. So this is where we have direct instruction. So this is going to be telling them how to handle a situation. So Fido's distracted by the new puppy who just joined our group. Let's try backing Fido up to create more distance to help him work successfully at his level. So you told them that Fido's distracted and you told them what to do to back up and give more distance. Then direct questions would be given a question with a couple of options of how you think they might want to handle the situation. So now the same situation, Fido seems distracted. What do you think might be distracting him? The other dog or the item that we just put on the ground? Or there are a few options for working at Fido's level to help him handle this distraction. We could move further away, or we could use higher value treats. Which would you like to try? So that's those direct questions of giving them almost like a this or that answer, options. And then open questions are going to be asking open-ended questions to start helping them understand and learn how to handle that situation on their own. So now Fido seems like he's having a hard time with the exercise. What do you think is going on? So that's very open-ended. And then what could you try to help him be successful to put this exercise at his level? So again, very open-ended. They have lots of options that they could say. It may or may not be how you would handle it directly, but there are lots of options there. And then finally, reinforcement, which is catching them making the decision to handle a situation on their own. So I noticed that you backed up a ways when the new puppy came to the room and you saw that Fido was distracted and starting to struggle to exercise. Great decision. You're really working at his level. All right, so that's where hopefully now your raiser is doing things on their own and you are able to catch them making those good decisions. So again, the prompt fading is direct instruction, direct questions, open questions, reinforcement. And then speaking of reinforcement, you want to catch dogs and people getting it right. So you want to take every opportunity to prompt and recognize raisers for reinforcing their dogs. Really great if you can try to make it a goal to say something positive to each raiser in your head, like making sure you went through this person, like at some point during your meeting, try to catch everybody. You want to give specifics when praising. So you might want to say like, nice job with the timing of the treat when the dog didn't bark. So that's very specific. And then Jenny is going to talk more about this in her presentation in just a minute, so I'm not going to go too far into this one. So putting it all together, importance of our meetings. Remember that the importance of our bi-monthly club meetings or outings, it allows you the opportunity to see the puppy's progress and to make those decisions about what you might need to work on. It gives insight to the direction and support that each raiser needs, and it provides time to give instruction on skills and training concepts. So a recipe for successful meetings is creating a fun and safe learning environment. Again, going back to that planning stage and making those meetings purposeful. Varying the locations and exposures, although it is okay to do some repetition. Making sure that content is applicable to the puppies in the club. And I will say too, like if you see one puppy struggling with something, a lot of times you can still work that into the meeting because there probably are other puppies struggling with that same issue at some point. So, and then if you have a lot of puppies that are different ages, you might want to split the group. Keep the mood relaxed and fun. This is a volunteer position, and while we do have a job ahead of us to raise these nice puppies, we also want this to be something that people want to do again and that they find to be fun. And as Amr said earlier, you're building that community. And then creating an active learning environment, making sure the puppies are engaged rather than just lecturing, and making sure that you maybe, if you do feel like you're lecturing, make sure you stop and explain, demo, do, that sort of thing. All right, any questions about teaching, planning meetings? All right, well thanks guys. I'll welcome Jenny up.